So today I just wanted to collect my thoughts on what we've been told for many years, but particularly since 2016 when Trump first became the candidate for the Republican Party, about not upsetting Trump supporters. And Hillary called them a basket of deplorables, which we can now see is too nice a description of these scum, these fascist bigots. It's too nice a description. But she called them a basket of deplorables, and everyone was like, "No, no, no, we mustn't insult them." I mean, literally, to call somebody who is behaving in a deplorable way deplorable, it's just a description. It's not an insult. But okay. So we're told, no, we mustn't insult these people because it'll upset them, and they're never going to come over to our side. Then, are they? No, we should just, tolerate them, be kind. We should win them over with kindness and love. Yeah? That's what we've been told. Well, let's review how that worked out. In 2016, when Trump won, and a serial rapist who literally bragged about grabbing women without their permission or even any warning by their vaginas. He was on tape saying it, and when you're a star, they let you do it, and all that. And they still voted him in. This entitled, rich, but not really that rich because he keeps going bankrupt and then gaming the tax system and the legal system to somehow keep going. But this entitled white man won against an incredibly qualified woman who, whatever you think of her politics, would have been a strong president for America. Even if you didn't like her policies, she would have been a powerful and strong figurehead and a fantastic first female president for America. By the way, most Western countries have had a female leader by now, a long time ago in the case of my country, but not in America, where the misogyny is still so rife. So 2016, they're like, fuck your feelings! Oh, cry, liberal, cry! Cry, you snowflake! I'm not trying to do an American accent. I can't do it that well. I'm just saying. That's what they were saying. They reveled in the sadness of liberals and Democrats who wanted the first female president and to try to move the country forward. They reveled in it. 2020, those same precious, emotionally strong, stable people who said fuck your feelings in 2016 said, no, he didn't. And our dear leader didn't lose. We couldn't have lost. No. And they stormed the Capitol and had an insurrection, an attempted coup, and tried to steal the election. That's what they did in 2020. And now here we are in 2024, and a bunch of them and other people who aren't diehard Trumpers decided, let's just go for this guy again. He might be a credibly accused serial rapist, a traitor, an insurrectionist who always sided with Putin all the way through his first term, and he might be like a failed businessman, but we think he's going to be good for the economy, and Biden just didn't get the price of eggs down quickly enough for our liking. He just didn't do it. So we are going to give Trump a second turn. And here we are in 2024. So how did that tolerance work out for us? And I would just like to examine as well an argument I hear about protests sometimes, that if you are too in someone's face or you upset them too much, you might turn them off from your cause. So let me give an example, first in my country, then I'll do an American one. In my country, we have this very busy ring road that goes around London called the M25. It's a motorway, I guess. I think in America you guys call them freeways, like 6 lanes or whatever. And a bunch of climate change protesters who felt like the world isn't doing enough on climate change, which they are not. They blocked the M25 and just shut it down for I think for most of a day, and there was gridlock and people were stuck there for hours and hours. And people were, and they did this in other places in London too, like sort of chain themselves to the ground You know, I don't know if they I don't know how they did it, but they just literally attached themselves and had to be removed by police in the end. Civil disobedience. Obviously, there was no permission for this demonstration. And some people were like, oh, well, if you're going to inconvenience me and make me sit in traffic for hours, I'm not going to support your cause. So let me just get this right. Okay, let me just get this straight. What you're saying is this. I do recognize that climate change is an existential threat to my species, my way of life, and my civilization. And even if it won't necessarily hit me that hard, my children and grandchildren are going to be completely fucked. I do recognize that. But because you made me sit in traffic for a few hours and I had places to be, I just can't side with you anymore. So I'm not going to support climate change activism anymore. And fuck it, just let whatever happens to the climate. You've just upset me too much now. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you wanted me to support climate change action, you shouldn't have inconvenienced me like that. You shouldn't have done it. Here's the second example. George Floyd protests. Now, let's be clear that with the property damage, the looting and burning down the buildings and stuff, which there wasn't an awful lot. It was a little bit. It could have been worse. A lot of that is started by fascist agitators on the far right who come and infiltrate these groups, and they're the ones who set the fires, or they rile other people up and they encourage it, or they're the ones who smash the windows, and then just regular people are like, well, the window's smashed, I might as well just grab some new sneakers, you know? I'm not justifying that, but I mean, is grabbing a new pair of sneakers from a shop window where everyone else is doing it, is that as bad as using very expensive lawyers and legal loopholes to literally steal millions of dollars from your country every year that you should rightfully be paying in tax, but you're not? Stealing millions of dollars that is rightfully owed to the people of America. And so you see what, this is just a side note, but let's look what's happening here. The billionaires and millionaires have got us looking down here. We're like, how dare you steal sneakers? So we're not looking up here and saying, how dare you fucking not pay millions of dollars of taxes that should go to building infrastructure and supporting society and helping to subsidize people's Medicare and Medicaid and all the rest of the stuff. You are robbing us blind. But no, it's the sneakers. The sneakers are the issue. Those fucking black people stealing those fucking sneakers, man. Because we all know it's the black people, right? Yeah. So let's get a bit of racism in there as well as we're going to use, in fact, racism and white people's hatred of black people and people of colour. We're going to use that to really make them focus on, oh yeah, well, I just saw mostly black people stealing those sneakers in those protests. Of course, there were plenty of white people. Lots of people were wearing masks and covering their faces and stuff, but it doesn't matter what the races were. I'm just making the point. I guess I'm making a lot of points here. We kind of got sidetracked. But the point is this. They've got us looking in the wrong place. But anyway, back to the George Floyd protest. They're looting the shops. They're stealing the sneakers. A few buildings got burned down. We don't know who did that. And even if it was George Floyd protesters, they had every right to be angry. They didn't have the right to burn down buildings, but they had a right to be angry. And even if a few George Floyd protesters did set those fires and loot those stores, that doesn't represent the majority of the protesters who were peaceful. Okay, it doesn't represent them. So let's just throw that argument out the window. But now here's the same thing, yeah? Well, I was on the side of the people who thought it was disgraceful the way George Floyd got lynched by that cop on that street, kneeling on him for 8 minutes until he suffocated to death, and everyone was like begging him to get off, and I was sympathetic. But if you're going to go around smashing store windows and stealing sneakers and burning, I can't support this anymore. I'm sorry. I'm out. No, I'm not going to be part of a civil rights movement. I'm not going to hope for, as far as I'm concerned, fucking black people, they have whatever they have is coming. If they're going to go and loot my stores, they fucking got it coming. The next time a policeman pulls you over for no reason and shoots you dead because you get scared or you fail to obey a command because you're freaking out thinking they're going to kill me, and then they kill you, well, you shouldn't have been looting stores and stealing sneakers, should you? You got what you deserved. So I would just like to point out, I feel like I've made my point quite well. I'd like to point out anybody who would change their stance, their fundamental position on such massive issues as climate change, the existential threat to everybody, and racism, not an existential threat in the same sense, but it certainly is a massive threat and problem to everybody, obviously mostly black people and other people of color, but it hurts everyone. It hurts white people too, you fucking dumbasses. Racism hurts us all. If we were to stop being racist and everyone could have equal rights and stop being sexist and homophobic and all the rest of it, and we could all just focus on lifting everybody up, we'd all prosper. It shouldn't be that hard for people to understand, but it is. So anyway, if you would change your position from supporting climate change action to sitting out, or you were going to support the George Floyd Black Lives Matter protesters, but now you're against them because somebody did something that offended you, then you were never serious. You were never serious about supporting those causes in the first place. You cannot lose serious, committed people from a cause just because some people within that cause do something that they disapprove of. It's not possible. It's impossible. Now, people who were never serious about the cause and were just doing it to look good, you give them an out to say, oh yeah, well, I'm not supporting this anymore. If this is the way people carry on, I can't be a part of this anymore. Decorum. They were never serious. Okay, they just weren't ever gonna support that cause. And it's best you just fuck off. Just fuck off then, because you were never supporting our cause. So go fuck yourself. Just fuck off somewhere else. We don't want you or need you in the movement, pretending just to look good that you actually give a shit about something other than yourself. We don't need that. Piss off. So now we've established that serious people can't be turned off from a cause because they object to the way that a small minority of people within that cause protested, as an example. Let's come back to the original point of tolerance. And we were told, yes, let's tolerate these people and it'll all work out fine. So I was going to read the definitions on my phone browser, but I forgot that when I switch, it switches the camera off. So now I've got it set up on my TV. So let's talk about tolerance, and let's examine how has that tolerance worked out for us in the last 8 years. Tolerating and explaining politely and calmly about the disinformation and misinformation and why it's not good to hate an entire group of people because of who they are, you know, who they were born as, not who they chose to be, who they were born as. That's not a good idea. And yeah, they are lying to you a lot. And let me just explain calmly and politely what these lies are, even though you're gonna yell and scream in my face and tell me I'm a libtard and a Satanist and drinking the blood of children or whatever. Yeah. But we're going to be tolerant. So let's just quickly look at what tolerance is. Dictionary definition in the Merriam-Webster dictionary online. So the first one is capacity to endure pain or hardship. That's that kind of tolerance. I feel like everyone has been experiencing that. Who gives a fuck about right and wrong in the last 8 years and has been paying attention to anything in any way to what's been going on in America and many other countries. But the second one is sympathy or indulgence for beliefs or practices differing from or conflicting with one's own. Sympathy or indulgence for beliefs or practices differing from or conflicting with one's own. So here we're seeing that, yes, we've been tolerating these people. Their beliefs and their practices conflict with our own beliefs and practices. And we're having sympathy for them, and we have been indulging them, definitely. So we're having sympathy. Oh, they're not all bad, they're just misguided, they're just ignorant, they just need educating. If we explain to them, and they'll understand, they'll figure it out. An indulgence, okay, well, it's going to take a while. They're in a cold. It's going to take a while. You can't just deprogram someone overnight. We need to just hold on and just keep chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. We've been indulging and tolerating these assholes, these fascists and bigots, for 8 fucking years. And what it's got us is Trump again. And I don't care that it was close. The fact that it was close is the problem. Kamala should have won in a landslide once the Republicans decided to put Trump up again after everything he's done and said. Out in the open, let alone all the stuff behind the scenes for which there is a good amount of evidence. The fact that it was close is the problem. It should have been Kamala by a landslide, but it wasn't, okay? So don't tell me, oh, well, just under half of the Americans voted for Kamala as well. No. You're a very sick country if slightly, almost half the electorate voted for this at this point. Your country is rotten to the core. Your society is sick, and I would argue terminally ill. And I would like to see America flatline sooner rather than later, so that it can hopefully be resuscitated as a healed or a healing nation. But I'm tired of being damaged by America at this point. I'm tired of it. I don't want to be damaged by America anymore. They're like that friend you've got that keeps hurting themselves and dragging you into it, and you get hurt too. That's what America is to the rest of the world at the moment. And we could argue they've been like that for decades. But they have helped keep the peace, more or less, in the Western world up until Trump. And then, of course, now there's war in Europe again. So, because he appeased Putin. And that brings me on to the appeasement side of this, okay? So when you have too much tolerance, eventually, and there's no way to really draw that line, I would say, though, we've crossed it. Tolerance taken too far becomes appeasement. So let me now look up the definition for appeasement. The act or action of appeasing someone or something, especially a policy of appeasing an enemy or potential aggressor by making concessions. And when we look up appeasing, and it takes us to appease, the verb appease. And here's the primary definition. 1, pacify, conciliate, especially to make concessions to someone such as an aggressor or critic, often at the sacrifice of principles. And that's what we've been doing, people. We have been making concessions to these fucking assholes, these fascists and bigots who are doing nothing. They are contributing nothing to society, and they are making things worse with their hatred and their lies and their anti-democratic ideologies. They're spoiling it for the rest of us. They're spoilers. They're the fans at the sporting event that start a riot. And all the rest of the people are just trying to enjoy the sporting event, but no, their team's losing, or the referee or whatever made a call that they didn't like, and they start a massive riot. They start a fight, and it becomes a riot. That's what these people are. They're spoiling it for the rest of us. Well, we shouldn't tolerate this shit anymore, because it becomes appeasement. We have been making concessions to these aggressors at the sacrifice of our principles. And I'm not going to be doing appeasement anymore. And I would encourage everybody to stop appeasing people. Because here is the main mistake I think a lot of the former Republicans made in this election. They're saying, let's create a path, a permission structure. That's what they're calling it, a permission structure to quietly just go and vote for Kamala. Well, how did that work out? Republicans and former Republicans who wanted to create this permission structure. Did they do it? Did they vote for Kamala? No, they fucking didn't, did they? They either voted for Trump or third party or stayed the fuck home. And I'll tell you the problem with the permission structure. And they're saying, no, we shouldn't push them away. We've got to be welcoming. We've got to allow them to come back and make the transition. If they know that at any point they can just change their ways and switch sides and you're going to be okay with it, you are actually appeasing them and you are creating a permission structure for them to carry on with the safety net of knowing, well, if it doesn't work out, they'll just take me back. Like it's a war game. This is the same thing in the Civil War. The end of the Civil War, let's just pretend that it's no harm, no foul. Let's just send everybody home. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about all the people who were killed and all the hardship, the economic hardship, the emotional hardship, the people who lost loved ones, the injuries. Don't worry about any of that. Just head on home. It's fine. Harm, but no foul. It's the same shit all the way through. America just hasn't fucking learned. What you should do, in my opinion, to these fucking fascists and bigots is you should make their lives so unpleasant that they are forced and beaten down into realizing that if they want to have this, have these ideologies, they're going to have a miserable fucking life, just like the rest of us whose lives they're making miserable. That's what we should do. We should make it incredibly difficult for them to change sides. They should have to crawl over fucking broken glass to come back to the other side. And even then, we should tell them, you are a piece of shit bigot, and you're going to have to work the rest of your fucking life extremely hard to prove to me that you've changed. I don't believe you. Prove it. All this mealy mouth, let's just have them back. Yeah, it's fine. Come on over. Oh, we're so glad you're on our team now. All the hardship and suffering that you caused to lots of other people on their team, let's not worry about that. Just come and be part of the team, please. Fuck that. Fuck that shit. So let me be absolutely clear on where I stand about the 2024 election. I was willing to overlook it in 2016. I wasn't paying attention. I'm British, but still, I wasn't paying attention to politics anywhere, especially not America. I didn't see the danger of Trump, even though a friend of mine, pointed it all out to me, and I just ignored what he said. So 2016, sure. Even 2020, even after everything Trump did, I was willing to say, all right, well, I'm not happy about this, but okay, if you voted for Trump and you can finally see the error of your ways, fine. Fine. But if you did anything other than voting for Kamala and encouraging other people to vote for Kamala and helping other people to vote for Kamala in 2024, then I will never, ever have anything to do with you ever again. And I don't care if it's 30 years from now and I'm still alive and you come to me and say I've changed my ways in the last 30 years. No, sorry. We're done. We're done. So my friendship and my involvement in your life, don't count that as a motive for you to change your ways. If you want to change your ways because you realize you're a piece of shit, and being a piece of shit is not going to get you, well, I mean, I say that, lots of people like Elon Musk and Donald Trump have got very far in life being a piece of shit. But I would argue that underneath all that wealth and privilege, when they're sitting on their own in the dead of night and they woke up and they can't get back to sleep, I would argue they're not happy people. They're not having a good time. They might have all this privilege and wealth, and I'm not saying I wouldn't want to have privilege and wealth. I would like to have some privilege. And I've obviously got white privilege, but I mean, economic privilege and wealth. Sure, I'd like to have more than enough money. I don't need billions, but I'd like to have lots of money and a nice, luxurious house or whatever. Fine. But it's not making them happy. They're not happy people. So, although you can prosper in a material way by being a piece of shit, I don't see that you can prosper spiritually, emotionally, psychologically by being a piece of shit. So if these pieces of shit ever decide that they want to not be pieces of shit anymore, then good for you. You go ahead, and the more damage you did, the more making up you've got to do. And there may be some people who welcome you and say, hey, you earned redemption, and you can be my friend now. You can be part of my group, my community. If I believe you have earned redemption, I will acknowledge it and I will say, well done. You worked hard and you earned redemption. But I'm still having nothing to do with you because you were on the wrong side of history with the fucking fascists, who are basically Nazis at this point, in 2024. And you had more than enough information and time and reasons to not support this. But you supported it anyway, either by voting for it or not actively voting and working against it, which is the third-party voters and the people who thought it would be a good idea to just sit out the election. So I would encourage my fellow libertarians, I'm not sure if that's the right word, if that means something else, my fellow citizens who believe in democracy and freedom and are against fascism and authoritarianism, I would encourage you to at least think about this as an approach. We don't need to appease these motherfuckers any longer. It's not working. It's not working. We are just empowering them. If I had a business, I would ban everyone who supports Trump from that business. These people should be shunned. They should be shunned in the way that they are trying to shun trans people and gay people and black people, Jews, Muslims, whatever their group is that they've chosen to hate, immigrants. Whoever they're trying to shun, they should be the ones who are shunned. And we're not shunning them because of the way they were born. We're shunning them because of their hateful behaviour and ideology, which is a choice. It's a choice. They're making a choice. Immigrants don't choose to be immigrants. Black people don't choose to be black. And by the way, gay people and trans people, they don't choose to be gay or trans either. And even if they did, it was a choice. You still shouldn't be hammering people for choosing that. For, if you could choose to be black or choose to be gay, well, just fucking leave them alone. What have they done to you? Nothing. They've done nothing to you. Just leave them alone. We don't have to tolerate this shit any longer, and I'm not tolerating this shit any longer. Anybody who supports this, I'm never speaking to you again as far as the 2024 election is concerned. In terms of educating other white people on why they shouldn't be racist, educating men on why they shouldn't be sexist, educating straight people on why they shouldn't be homophobic, I'll carry on doing that. But explaining to Trump supporters why they shouldn't vote for this, be so hateful, why Trump is a fascist, a liar, a grifter, a con man, a rapist, a racist, a xenophobe, an anti-Semite, a misogynist, a traitor, a coward, a bully, an infant, a narcissist. Trying to explain that Trump is all these things. He doesn't have one redeeming quality. I'm done. I'm done with you people. I'm fucking done. You don't exist as far as I'm concerned. And you will never exist. And there's nothing you can do for me to acknowledge your existence ever again, other than if you earn redemption, I'll acknowledge it just one time and I'll say, well done. In my eyes, you redeemed yourself. Now fuck off. That stain on you, even if you got redemption, for me is permanent, and that's my choice. And I feel like if more and more people had that attitude, and we took away the safety net of appeasement, so that these people understand, if you burn this bridge, if you go any further, we're burning the bridge. We are burning the bridge. You can't come back, ever. The bridge is gone. Maybe they wouldn't cross it. Maybe they're like, oh shit. Yeah, this has gone too far. I don't want to lose my friends and family forever. Maybe I shouldn't support this monstrous person and movement after all. I don't know. Maybe it would help, maybe it wouldn't. But I certainly am sure that what we've done so far, this toleration, has now become appeasement, and I'm not doing it anymore. And I encourage other people to be less tolerant and to stop appeasing these people and make their lives as miserable as they are making our lives. Not out of spite or revenge, just because they need to fucking learn that we don't accept or tolerate anymore them being spoilers and ruining our society needlessly. There is no need for anybody to be behaving like this. There simply is no need for it. It doesn't do anything to help anybody in the end, including the people who are doing it, who think they're getting one over and scoring one over on the libs. Doesn't help them either. We should not be giving these spoilers an easy or nice time anymore. They should be made to suffer because they are making us suffer, and the only way to stop them making us suffer, as far as I can see, is to make them suffer just as much or worse. And once they really understand what that suffering is like, and they decide, oh, we don't like it, maybe they'll stop doing it to other people too.